We like to call it the Supernatural Hour. And now, our hosts.
Hey, welcome to the Supernatural Hour podcast. I'm your host, Ravyn.
I'm Rogue.
This is Doc.
And this is Chad.
I got leather pants on.
And I'm actually in-house today.
That's nice for a change.
And I'm wearing pajamas.
Doc just arrived from the emergency room, and he's in his scrubs.
They're seafoam green.
And they match his microphone, so that his microphone just kind of blends into his body.
All about that style, guys.
Yeah.
No one's
looks
curious
good.
why I've got leather pants on.
Why don't we talk about the leather pants? We just went right over the leather
I
pants.
just didn't know if that was daily decor or daily clothing. I don't know.
No,
They are kind of shiny. Not super shiny.
No, they're kind of a matte. So, a gazillion years ago, our team got team photos, and they were cool photos. I tried to overdo it, though. I tried to have that kind of that sexy badass. I overdid it, and I just kind of looked stupid.
And are those the pictures that are on the website right now?
Yes, they are.
Okay, so when you check that out, you know how she feels about her pictures.
Are they?
On the Wisps.
On the WISP's website, wisps.org.
Wisps.org.
Yeah. So this time, it's like, no, we gotta tone that down.
Yeah, so she went to leather.
So they're kind of
Matte.
a matte leather.
Matte leather, not shiny leather.
And I
Yeah.
have low-heeled boots instead of
Instead of
boots.
high-heeled boots. See how she changed that?
And I wore a logo shirt this time.
Oh.
I'm interested to see how these turn out because A, it was kind of dark, and B, I'm sure like half of my pictures were like school picture day from first grade. Something's going to be
No,
messed
they're
up.
going to look awesome because Castle from Castle's Photo Art did them, and they're going to be good.
I guess if anybody can fix me, it'll be Castle.
Yeah, no, they're going to be awesome.
He said he was all about photoshopping. It was one of the first conversations we had.
It's not photoshopping, it's
Oh.
touch-ups.
Oh, touch-ups, yes.
Touch-ups.
Touch up. So there was
Touch-ups.
one of the last pictures we took. Castle said, "Doc, you're kind of dark. Can't see you back there." We thought, well, we'll just Photoshop you in, and you can say, "We Photoshopped me, and I was there."
That's right.
But
And then
we-
you still Photoshop me.
Photoshopped you in. No, they're going to be awesome pictures. So I'm excited to see them.
Me too.
So, all right.
On to the business. So we've got a few things coming up. On October 15th, we have Advanced Paranormal is going to have an investigation at Peteetneet School and Museum in Payson, Utah. This is the place where Ravyn went to elementary school.
I did.
And
So I'll take you on a little historical Ravyn grade school.
She might even have a picture to prove it. We're not sure yet.
maybe.
I asked.
That should end up on the site.
So I asked my mom to send me a photo, and she sent me one. She says, "How's this?" She said, "How's this?" And I said, "Well, that's my little sister, but if my own mom can't tell who it is, then I think our guess will be fine." We'll
Oops.
try to find a picture of me by the school.
If not, we'll see little sister by the school.
She just looks like me. She's just younger, so it'll work. We'll give you the ambiance of me being there.
So that's Friday, October 15th.
Yes.
We're excited about that. Again, tickets are available through Eventbrite or through our advancedparanormal.com events page. So go out on there. October 29th, 30th, and 31st. Klaus is hosting Indian Hills Horror, which is a home haunt, which is really, really awesome. In 2019, they had over 1,000 people, almost 1,200 people a night at that event. It's a great haunt. Doc has been involved with that for years. I've been involved with it for a number of years. Come on out to that. It's a free hunt. Donations are accepted gladly, but not required.
And we will have a booth there on the 29th and the 31st.
Do you have the address posted?
Yeah, the address is posted. In fact, you can go to advancedparanormal.com/haunt. If you go there, in your browser, and it'll come right up and give you the information. It'll show a YouTube video of the 2019 experience.
Is no one going to ask why we're not there on the 30th?
Why aren't we there on the 30th?
There's a football game that night.
And how many football games have we missed this year?
Oh, we will miss 3 when it's all said and done.
Football
I'm not bitter at
trumps
all.
ghosts, apparently.
Ghosts trump football.
Ghosts
Ghost
are
trump
trumping.
football.
That's why you've missed the games.
Yes.
And you enjoyed the Arizona
But
State game.
football trumps haunted house.
Yes. Well, I've learned.
There's a hierarchy here we're dealing with.
Well, see, and I did not know until this year that even though they post a football time, that time can change.
Oh yeah, TBD, man. When you're looking at schedules, it's all TBD.
So
Yeah, but
next-
it said
Determined.
12.
It said 12. So next year, folks, if you want to know, maybe when we're holding something in October or September, you just look at that BYU football schedule, and if there's a game, nothing happening.
If
with
it's a home
ghosts.
game,
If it's a home game.
Away game.
the ghosts won't be out. They'll be at the football game.
Yeah, for all y'all who are curious, the address to the Indian Hills Horror Haunted House is 2817 West, 950 North in Provo, Utah. And the hours are going to be October 29th from 8 p.m. to 11 p.m., Saturday, October 30th from 8 p.m. to 11 p.m., and Sunday, October 31st, Halloween night, from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. So come on down.
It's a really neat haunted house.
I've been to some paid haunted houses, and this is just as good, if not better. So
So, Rogue, what you got?
All right, so let's talk about some ghost hunting. This last, you know how time goes so fast. I think it's been 2, maybe 3 weeks ago. I have a client, and her husband passed away about a year ago, and it was time to get the SLS out and see if we could help her to prove that she still thinks that her husband's there. He had he has a medical room in the house that she keeps blocked off. That he was military, so the military had come in and created a hospital bedroom for him. And she doesn't go in there, and she still kind of thinks he's there. But when he was sick, he changed his will. And because of those changes, some things are going on in her life. And so she wanted to try to have some communication with him if we could. And so that's where I came in. I brought my SLS with me.
And an
so
SLS is, just a quick overview.
That's our piece of equipment that will show spirit in a stick figure form. It is the Connects.
The Xbox Connects is the main part of the device itself. So if you're familiar with the Xbox and Dance Dance Revolution or some of those games where they would see
the sports.
Yeah, the sports. It's that technology, although it's mapping figures of people that aren't there.
Right, and we have acquired a few of those on our team, so we have that capability, and I like to get out and use it, so the more you use it, the more you kind of understand your equipment. So I went out with that, and I was able to find him standing just at the counter, just kind of like standing there looking at her, looking at me, kind of like looking at the equipment. What am I doing here? Because I had the equipment out on the counter. Put the Ghost Meter Pro out and a K2, and we were able to get some yes-no answers out. At the end of that, she called a probate lawyer, and it made her feel better. So it helped her to find a reason to call that lawyer that she really needed to protect herself. So it was an interesting little twist to why I needed to be there. Usually we're coming out because, things are happening or spiritual, but she needed a lawyer. And
I was about to say ghost law. I don't know that this is.
Right.
Is there any
a little
precedent for this?
a little different. So I'm still in touch with her, and she's just really thankful that, there was the end result that she was able to make those choices.
Oh, that's awesome.
So, yeah. And then outside of that, just last night, I happened to be at one of our sponsors? Friends? Friends of. All right. One of our friends of.
And one of our former
podcast.
venues.
Yes.
And we'll be a venue again. That was an awesome venue.
Yes. So if you've been with us, I was at the Barbary Coast, and it just happened to be an evening where there wasn't many people upstairs, so I asked for access downstairs, and I had a new member of the team with me, and we went downstairs and turned off the lights. And, Every snap, there's multiple activity going on down there, and nothing slowed down. But we found a case that I don't remember seeing there in the last few times we've been there, and so we opened it up and went through it, and it was a little tea set in like moldy old newspaper from 1984. So it's been there.
So
but I
here's
don't
the
think we
interesting
opened
thing:
it.
is you showed, because you did a live
I did do a live
on Facebook,
Yeah,
and you showed the date of the newspaper.
yeah.
It was my birthday.
Really?
I was like, "That's my birthday."
Well,
Not
that's
the
kind
year,
of
though.
crazy.
Let's say
Not the year.
1984.
No, yes, the year.
I
yes.
married young, not
Yeah,
that young.
Yes, I was
Pretty
born in
young.
1984.
Wow,
No, not really.
that's
I wish.
creepy. That is creepy. So it was a good time. So yeah, jump on the Facebook and you can see that I did go live right until the point where it was time to just shut all the lights off, and it was pitch black down there. So there was nothing to record and going live. So I kind of left. We weren't down there for a long time, but we were down there for about a half an hour, 45 minutes.
Wasn't it kind of impromptu? You didn't plan on
Super
investigating?
impromptu. Yeah, it was one of the things. I was there and I walked around the corner, talked to the bartender, and I noticed that I could get in there relatively easy. And I asked, and I was told yes. So
Wow.
I went down. It was just one of those things. And the person I was with, Anthony, he made sure that there was no light. So that big heavy door that you use to get up and forth, he went over there and he shut that door, and we locked ourselves down there.
Awesome.
Yeah, so good times. And then besides that, though, I didn't get to go with you back to Santaquin.
No, so this is a residential we talked about on a podcast or two ago.
Yeah, it's been a couple
I
back.
think it's been
Yeah.
a while.
So it was in Santaquin. It's a client that we've been to a couple of times. And she and her husband are both sensitive. And we had, gone there recently, but she said, there's more activity. It's, her dogs were acting weird again, and she has a decorative sign on her porch with a plant on it. And she says just where she has it sitting and, the angle and everything on her porch, there's no way it can just fall over or blow over, But every day it's knocked over, blocking her door. And she says, I can just tell that there's something doing that. And then she said there's a door in her house that kept shutting. And she says, I get that, sometimes if you've got a window open and it's windy and certain things happen, that doors will slam shut because, pressure changes. But she said this is slamming shut, but there's no door open. There's no window open. There are no doors open. And so, anyway, Chad and I ran down there, and they had another spirit that had come in through a portal, because the last time we went there, we found that golf ball sized portal in the
Right.
backyard, and we determined we didn't need to close it. And this spirit was just trying to get attention because he wanted to cross. And, he could tell that they knew what was going on, that they could sense him. And so he was trying to, get their attention so that he could try to get some help. So we actually got him crossed over. We got the portal closed. And then we just taught her and her husband how to take ownership of their home and how to deal with, the spirits that come in, how to give them boundaries. We taught them how to, bubble themselves, however that is, to put that shield up if you're an empath, if you're sensitive, so that you can have some peace.
Yeah.
So it was a good night.
And some education.
And do
Yes.
we know, has the sign moved?
I haven't heard from her. So we'll call that good. No news is good news
Yeah.
sometimes.
Oh, on top of it, I've also had my machines. So another place where we've been on an investigation is my shops at Union Square. And I was getting triggers on my camera. So I went down because I could see them coming through the outlet right to my camera and flying around my freeze dryer. So I didn't like that because I've got one now that electrically is not working. It won't vacuum pump. It won't seal. So I'm not really appreciating that I'm watching the stuff flying around. So I had to go down and do a cleansing and get that to stop. And I keep watching and nothing has been happening. So far so good. However, I'm not really sure how to stop something coming through the electrical box that is energizing from outside. There's a huge electrical box that's powering like the
whole
neighborhood.
complex.
So it's found me, it's found my toys, and it's playing down there. But we got that stopped.
So that's good.
Yeah.
So just really quick back to this.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, no, you're fine. And this is not even paranormal. But we went, when we left the house in Santaquin,
Yeah.
they're like, do you want some vegetables?
They sent us home with ghosts.
We have ghost peppers.
Oh.
Ghost pepper.
They're
That's
super
cute.
hot, so I don't dare eat them. So they're still sitting on the counter.
Yeah. Are you going to dry them up and maybe just grind them up and cook with them or something?
I don't like hot. I don't mind like a little zip. Okay, I tried to put this clacky dog away, so I'm sorry. That's
The
just
dog
This
likes
hound
us.
from hell.
that's just his contribution to the podcast. You'll know that we have our company if you hear the little clacky clackies. No, I don't. The ghost peppers have a lot of zing that I'm not.
Yeah, if you don't like spicy,
No,
that's the wrong pepper to be eating right there.
Yeah.
But
that's
they're
almost
cool.
the hottest in the world,
world.
right?
Yeah,
Isn't there
between
something
those,
one just a little bit
Carolina
hotter?
Reapers, I think, are up there.
Little
Doc,
bit
did you
hotter.
give them a try?
Not yet,
Really?
but I have them.
You like that, huh? You like
I
that
do
burning
like 'em.
sensation?
Yeah, I've already got a couple ghost pepper sauces. I'm a little scared to try the pepper in the raw. We'll see how it goes.
You'll have to let me know how you survive that.
I had to warn
Yeah.
my kids. I'm like, this pepper, don't just chow down.
Oh.
Or do?
I'm just gonna dip it in ranch and go for it.
Oh, you might want to double dip.
We'll see what
That's
happens.
terrible.
Ooh.
That doesn't even
I'll probably
sound
be
good.
throwing up by the time I get the thing down because it'll be so
Right.
hot and
Right.
uncomfortable.
That's not good.
Yeah, no, I will not be testing it. Okay, so we also had our Fort Douglas public investigation.
We did, and that's a wonderful venue. I
Isn't
really
it?
enjoyed that venue.
It was your first time there, huh?
That was my first time there, and I'm so intrigued with the helicopters, the 9/11 monument.
Memorial there.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much more going on there than what I expected just saying we're going to the museum. I didn't really know where I was headed.
So it's a little different than when I was there last, in that there was used to be a big conference room in that first area that we met in, and now they've got exhibits in it. And then when you go to the building just east of it, there used to be exhibits over there too, and now it's just a big open room with some storage.
Is that where
And
they were
offices.
sewing the recreation uniforms?
Yeah,
Is that what you're talking about?
just the same
the
building.
north offices?
Yeah, where it had the reading room in the back.
Yeah, the library.
And some of the things they'd moved, because I remember walking into that big room with the wooden floor that's now empty with, the storage stuff. And there used to be a statue there, or a mannequin that scared the living daylights out
Oh.
of me. And I was kind of prepped for it. I thought, I turned, it's going to be there, and it was gone. And I realized, I think it's over in what used to be the big conference room.
Right.
Yeah, and we want to thank Bo and his staff for all of the help that they provided us there.
They're awesome.
It's a tremendous venue. It's free to the public. I highly recommend just going through it as a museum. It's an awesome museum
with a lot of history.
with a lot of history.
And when we do our investigations, we make a little PowerPoint, with some safety tips and investigating tips and just history of the place and where hot spots are. And usually on that PowerPoint, there'll be 2 or 3 places that there's hot spots. I said at the very top, everywhere, and then listed like 10 things. It's like there's activity everywhere.
Yeah, doesn't the
Right.
museum, the actual buildings go back into like the 1870s, 1880s?
Yeah.
So that one little room that we went into, the poker room, right? Didn't they tell us that was 1890s?
Yeah,
little
and
poker room?
it's pretty much hasn't changed.
Right? You have to be
Since
careful.
then.
You can't stand against the walls because they're chipping. You can't stand against the corners, edges of
Well,
the
you
floor.
could, but
Well,
you
they're
just
trying-
crumbling.
and
They're
you-
trying to have it be preserved. They've
Right.
asked us not to lean on the walls because that is historic.
Yep.
Right, right. And in that room took out 2 of the people on my team. My team went from 8 to 6 in that poker room.
Yep.
Because you had a little activity where people started not feeling good.
That's right. I had the youngest on my team, so that upset me, where I actually kind of got vocal being in there, and I don't usually try to persuade spirit by all means, but if you're going to attack the child on my team, at least come and talk to me and touch me.
And by
that's what they
child, it
did.
wasn't like a child. It
Yeah.
was. She was
18 or 19.
Yeah.
She was an older teenager.
She was
adult.
a young adult.
There we go.
But she was a very
Sensitive?
introvert, You know, she was,
Quiet,
so
introverted.
she was. So they really picked on the weakest link of the team, and I felt really bad. So that's why it took out too, because it was her and her mom that basically went out.
Yeah, they came up to the front room and had a drink and, you know, a cola and some water. And
Was that with her
chips.
and her mom or her and her grandma? It
was
doesn't
her grandma.
matter.
Oh,
I think it was
yeah,
her grandma.
Grandma went up. Yeah,
But they
grandma.
came up and, you know, we took care of them, gave them some selenite and obsidian and did some things to help them.
Big shout out, they're our Patreons, I believe.
Yes,
Yes.
they are.
And we love
so
you.
Awesome.
You're always with me, so thank you.
So I had an experience at Fort Douglas that I have not had before.
Yes.
I have seen, at Benson Grist Mill, I have seen an apparition. I've seen two, actually. I have seen one at the what's the name of that mansion downtown? That we went to the wedding. The
McEwen Mansion.
The McEwen Mansion. I've seen one there. I've seen one in Chad's dad's basement. But I've never seen an apparition like this. This was a shadow figure. It was black. So when we were outside by the helicopter, and I was just talking. I don't even know what I was doing. And I saw, it looked like someone hunched over, like they were trying to run and not let anybody see them. And it was just black. And it was so clear and so real, I thought, oh, it's just a person, right? And I was waiting for them because they kind of ran behind a tank. And so I was waiting for them to run out or run across the street or gone, poof, nowhere. And so I sat there and just stared for the longest time. And it was only 9 o'clock at this time, maybe 9:15.
But dark.
It was dark, but it wasn't like super late at night. And so there were people walking around. There'd been a Ute game that night.
Right, we're on a college campus.
And it's on a college campus. There was people walking. So it didn't take very long for people to walk in the same area. And the people that I saw were smaller, and they were not all one color black. They had, you could tell the skin tone, you could tell the colors on their clothing. I could tell, oh, that lady has on a red and white striped shirt and jeans. And the figure that I saw was pure. It looked like something that a little child had written with a black crayon or cut out of black marker, and the sizes didn't add up.
And didn't someone else on your team also see it?
Yes, and so one of our Patreons actually said, I saw that same thing kind of run, kind of where you'd stop seeing it, because I explained where I stopped seeing it. She says, I saw it run from here over to this kind of grassy area between the two buildings. So that was weird. I've never really seen an apparition or shadow figure that way before. I've seen
Right, so
gray, I've
that's a
seen
good personal
wispy
experience.
white, I've seen...
But this had like margins that didn't look defined.
This was like just a black silhouette. Oh, it was defined. There's legs, it was hunched over, it had arms, it was...
But it looked like a cutout.
Well, I just mean it's just black.
Oh, gotcha.
There was no
Texture.
there was no 3D-ness. It was like a shadow.
Right. Interesting.
It was, yeah. I was like, wow, that's a new one for me. Anyway, Fort Douglas. It's an awesome venue. We've been to it many times before. We'll go there again because it's always active. It's always a great place to head up.
Yeah, and Bo and his staff were great. It's a neat venue and a historic venue, and just interesting.
And,
So I think you ought to tell your brief personal experience story about your ghost that came and visited you.
So
I know you've given it before, but
yeah, if you've listened to our podcast for any length of time, we've mentioned this a couple times, but this would fit in really well. So Chad and I went to Boston a few years ago for his work, and I said, ooh, if we're going to be in Boston, we got to go to Salem. So we did a 45-minute train ride, and we got there. It was kind of the off season. They were going to open like in a couple days. I tried to muscle my way in, saying, we're clear from Utah. I still got to know. But the witch house, and that's what it's called, the witch house, which was one of these magistrates' homes, one of the places that they actually had some of the trials in, was open. And it looked exactly like you think it's going to look. and inside was pretty cool.
Wood timbers, wood frame, dark. Rustic.
Yeah.
1690s.
1692. Yep. So we walked back into the kitchen area, and they had like a table, and they had herbs and stuff hanging on the wall. And I felt a spirit there. And I made the mistake of saying out loud, "I know you're there." I don't know why I felt the need to do that. Feeling cool. I don't know, feeling all caught up in the spookiness of Salem, I guess. Anyway, from there we went to the House of Seven Gables and did our thing and went to our hotel, and the next day we got up and got on the airplane and came home, right? And I'm thinking, that's cool, we got to go to Salem. Maybe we'll go back someday during the on season. And the next day, so like our first full day home, this is in March, early March. Well, Utah is still a little chilly in early March. So I hop in the car to go somewhere, and the air conditioner comes on. I don't really think much about it because, sometimes when you turn your car on, whatever happened when you turn the car off just starts happening again. So I reached over and turned it off. About a block later, it comes on again. And I thought, so I turned it off again. Did it like 3 or 4 times. And I thought, someone's in the car with me. So I turned and looked in the passenger seat because I'm in the car by myself. And I said, "Can you knock that off?" And it stopped. And if you remember, Peaches was on our team at the time. And her great-grandmother was with her. And her great-grandmother would sometimes come and hang out with people. She really liked Castle. So great-grandma Annie would go hang out with Castle most of the time, but she would come and check on all of us. So I contacted Peaches and I said, "Hey, was Annie hanging out with me today?" And Peaches said, "No, she wasn't." So I thought, So I come home, and I'm trying to make the story short because I can make this really long if you let me. So I came home, and at the time I had a daughter. My youngest was 3 or 4. And I put her in her room to take a nap. And she had this metal flower on the outside of her wall. And she was asleep, but I heard that bang. And I thought, that's really weird that I'm hearing that bang, as though she shut the door because she's up there, she's asleep. So fast forward about an hour. And I was standing in my kitchen, and where my kitchen is, I can see the front door. And it's not very far away. And between the kitchen where I was standing, cutting up some vegetables for dinner, and the front door, there's a piano off to the side in a little side room. One of my boys came home from school, walked in the door, and as he's walking in the door, I hear the piano play. Just 3 or 4 notes. And I looked at him and I said, "Did you just play the piano?" And he's looking at me like I just grew a third eye because he said, "You just saw me not play the piano because I just walked in the door and you've seen me." And I said, "Is there somebody sitting at the piano?" And he said, "No." And I said, "Did you hear the piano play?" And he said, "Yeah, I did actually." And so I'm thinking, all right. So he goes off, he's doing his thing. My older daughter is upstairs at this time, and the house is kind of quiet. And she kind of hollered down the stairs. She goes, "Mom, are you okay?" I said, "Yeah, I'm fine. Why?" And she goes, "Well, you're crying." And I said, "I'm not crying." She says, I clearly heard you crying. I said, I'm not. I don't know what you heard. But so by this time I'm thinking, okay, air conditioner's coming on. I'm hearing weird banging noises that shouldn't happen. I'm hearing piano playing. My daughter's hearing crying. Something's going down. So I got a hold of Peaches again. I said, "Will you send Annie over here? Tell me what the heck's going on in my house." So she calls me up a few minutes later and she says, "Well, you have a spirit in your home. She thinks her mother was one of the accused. Not necessarily one of the ones killed, but one of the accused. And she thinks that you are the accuser. So if you go up and if you look up Abigail Williams, after you scroll through like 3 pages of actresses that played her in various Salem movies and get to some of the drawings from the time, it's just a girl with long dark hair. And I've got long dark hair. I mean, you don't look at it and go, oh my gosh, that looks exactly like Ravyn, but you go, oh, okay,
I could see it.
I can see it. So she was very mad at me, and she was trying to hurt me. And I could feel her standing by the bed glaring at me. I was in the bathtub one day and had the shower curtain pulled, and I could see her pacing outside the shower. And I actually opened the shower curtain. I'm like, little privacy, please, that'd be great. And then she went away. Anyway, Peaches came over, and with the help of Annie, we were able to convince her that this is one of those things about ghosts. They're not focused on their surroundings. I mean, we were showing her my cell phone. Does this look familiar? Look at my clothes. Does this clothing look at the furnishings? Does anything look familiar? Anyway, we were finally able to convince her that
You were not the accuser?
I was not Abigail Williams from 1692. That I was.
If you are, you look really, really good.
Thank you. The same trip was the one that they thought I was 17. They thought I was your daughter. So, there is that.
I know.
So, anyway, that is my story of my Salem witch ghost that I brought home with me.
Well, that's a great personal experience.
Our junk drawer tonight is brought to you by Utah Freeze Dried for Pets and Rescue Pets Bathhouse, where we are pet nutritionists and groomers. We help you take care of your pets from the inside out.
And my dogs, I need to get a new hoof from you. Because my dogs have almost chewed up their hoof. And they
We have
love
plenty.
their hoof. They love
Come
their
on
hoof.
in.
Alrighty, our junk drawer. This is amazing. Someone out there is paying attention, and they're saying Ravyn has not made her Harry Potter reference yet.
No. I forgot about that.
Someone out there didn't, and they're thinking now, dang it! I was at the Crystal Ray, and they had a stone there called a Muggle stone, and I bought it just to make my Harry Potter reference. I can't find it. I don't know what I did with it. So I will talk about that next time. But you've got your Harry Potter reference.
That's
The
some
Muggle stone.
That's some creative marketing right there.
It's called the Muggle stone.
Muggle stone.
Muggle stone. I partly think it's a little made up, but that's just me. We'll still talk about it. But I did find a little blurb while researching Salem witch trials about the whole witches and brooms. Have you ever thought about that?
Why witches fly around on brooms?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm interested.
Which is also in Harry Potter. They've got broomsticks. Harry Potter flies on one. So there you go. You get double.
What's his called? That he does the
Firebolt.
Firebolt something, yeah. And then there's like a 2000 or
There's the
something.
Nimbus.
The Nimbus 2000, and
yeah.
then that gets eaten by the Whomping Willow, and then gets eaten by the Whomping Willow.
See, we're getting Harry Potter references in.
And then he gets a firebolt.
Okay.
Okay.
Anyway,
So-
back to witches
So-
and broomsticks.
It's kind of a stereotype, right? Witch, broom. So we're not even really sure when a broom was invented, but the act of sweeping goes back to ancient times, and they probably just used some sticks and reeds and whatever they had to brush away ashes in the hearth. It even shows up in the New Testament, which dates back to the 1st and 2nd centuries. So the word comes from a plant or shrub, which they would use to make sweeping devices. And then it was replaced at some point by an Old English word, besom, which reminded me of Bezoar, which is how you cure poisonings, also in Harry Potter. So both of these terms have been used up until the 18th century. And they're primarily associated with women, because men would be out doing farming and the hunting, and the women would, be cooking and cleaning and stuff. And so it really kind of became a powerful symbol of female domesticity. So we've got some symbolism going on there, Doc.
Mm-hmm.
So, but even though it's a symbol for domestic women, the first witch to confess riding a broom, or a besom, was actually a man. And his name was, I don't know how to say this, Guillaume. Edlin. There's a trick to say this, I know it, and I'm going to do it wrong. I don't know, we're just skipping it. So they don't even know how to say it because they refer to him by his last name in these notes.
It's like we're not going to step on that landmine. Nope.
So Edlin was a priest from an area in France near Paris. And he was arrested in 1453 and tried for what? Witchcraft, after publicly criticizing the church's warnings about witches. It's like, this is crap. They're like, you're a witch.
Of course.
You know. So his confession, though, came under torture, and he eventually repented, but he was still imprisoned for life. But at least they didn't burn him or hang him.
Just imprisoned for life.
Just in prison for life. You know, because I'm sure that prisons back then were just a treat.
Oh, yeah.
So, but by the time his confession... Oh.
Go ahead.
By the time his confession came about, the idea of witches riding on broomsticks was already established. This dates back to 1451, when some illustrations appeared in a manuscript of a French poet called Le Champion des Dames, the defender of ladies. And again, don't make fun of my French accent. It has a picture of two women soaring around the air on a broom. One flies on a broom, the other's just on a plain white stick. They both have headscarves that identify them as members of this Christian sect that was kicking around in the 12th century called Waldensians. And they were branded as heretics by the Catholic Church, partly because they allowed women to become priests. They
How
didn't
dare
like that.
they?
They also think it was linked to a pagan ritual. They think it was a pagan fertility ritual where rural farmers would leap and dance astride poles, pitchforks, or brooms in the light of a full moon to encourage the growth of their crops. This broomstick dance became confused with common accounts of witches flying around in the middle of the night on their way to orgies and other illicit meetings.
Right. It was always my understanding that the broom was a phallic symbol.
They also thought to be the perfect vehicles for special ointments and salves, which the witches brewed to give themselves the ability to fly. So in 1324, when the wealthy Irish widow by the name of Lady Alice Keitler was tried for sorcery and heresy, investigators reported that in searching her house they found a pipe of ointment wherewith she greased a staff, upon which she ambled and galloped through thick and thin.
Ambled and galloped.
Yes.
The first thing that came to my mind was like those little ponies with the heads and the sticks. Like,
And you just like go running, frolipping through the meadow.
run
That's what
around.
I was
That's
seeing.
kind of what I was thinking too. Like
Your stick
she had a
horse?
cowboy hat and a couple 6-shooters or something.
Monty Python reference. Maybe they could get some coconuts and
There you go.
clip, 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 clip.
Amble and gallop.
Ambled and galloped. So, and then in the beginning of the 17th century, accounts of witches on broomsticks, they used to think that they would fly out of chimneys. That became more commonplace because back in the day, there was this custom where women would prop a broom up outside a door or place it up a chimney to let other people know they're away from home. Hey, we're not home. We're going to advertise it. We don't do that these days. Now it's like leave your lights on so
right.
that people think you're home. But back in the day, we're not home. We're going to put our broom outside just to prove that.
Just so you all know.
Yep.
Interesting.
So yeah, for some reason because they would put their broom in the chimney. And how? I guess you walk into the house and the broom's in the chimney. They're not home. I guess we'll leave. What is this?
Yeah, maybe they. I don't know. I mean, I guess most of the time people would be out in the fields or something, right?
guess
So maybe
times
that's
are
just a way of
different.
like, hey, the one time in their
I can't
life
just-
that they're away from their town.
I just can't imagine, the neighbor coming over, walking in the house. Oh, her iron's on the island. I guess I'll leave.
Obviously out of town. Obviously.
Anyway, so there you go. But the weird thing, very few accused witches ever confessed riding a broom, just FYI.
But that's it. That's the Halloween symbol right there. Got
Yep.
that big old full moon and a silhouette of a witch on a broomstick.
And
Yep.
then there's Elizabeth Montgomery from Bewitched and that symbol.
Yeah, there's a statue of that in Salem, too.
I know.
There is. I've seen that. It's fun.
Good on you, Salem, for embracing the witch culture. Thanks for listening. Last but not least, get your Supernatural Hour swag at advancedparanormal.com. We have all sorts of awesome swag. Tapestries, cups, bumper stickers,
I still don't have my notebook. It makes me sad.
t-shirts, you name it. Pencils, yeah, we were talking about that at the beginning of the school year. We need to get those. All right, well, head on over and you can pick them up at advancedparanormal.com.
Also at advancedparanormal.com, you can find our sage sprays, sage rollers, lip balms, cleansing kits, different types of things that we make in-house. Also, we want to ask you to follow us on YouTube, check us out, TikTok. We're all over social media. Like, share, follow.
TikTok. How many people you got
Last
now?
time I looked, 1,515. And just one last little shout out to our friends at Backcountry Off-Road Adventure Rally. I wanted to make sure I didn't say off-road too many times. I'll get there. I
That's
will get
Boar,
there.
right?
Boar.
All right.
Boar, if you're listening, I'm so sorry. I try really hard, but my brain is made of unicorn dust. All right. Stay spooky, my haunty friends.
Love you, Necklace.
Have a good one.
Hey, good night.
You've been listening to the Supernatural Hour at AdvancedParanormal.com. The Supernatural Hour is part of the Radio Ronin network found at RadioRonin.com. Copyright 2021 by Advanced Paranormal Services.